Okay, thank you, everybody. We're back. It looks like we're in the home stretch here. We've got four more candidates for their presentations. We've got their electronic delegations, so they'll be joining us virtually. We are still. No, it looks like we've got everybody now. That's great. Okay, thank you very much. Again, those of you in the audience, thank you very much for your presentations, and thank you very much for all the excellent points and everything that you've done. We'll now move to the electronic candidates, and as I said, we have four of them. The first candidate that I see on the screen right now is Mr. Scott Thompson. So, Mr. Thompson, you've got 10 minutes to address council, and you can start whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank the members of council for allowing me to present my interest in fulfilling this position electronically. My preference would have been to address council in person. However, I was running a low-grade fever for a non-COVID related illness when I had to declare how I would attend this meeting. As it turns out, I certainly could have attended in person today. However, I was advised by the city clerk that I could not change my decision once the deadline to declare had passed. So again, I appreciate that this option was available. I believe most members on council will already have an idea of who I am and what I could potentially bring to this position. For those of you who are not that familiar with me, I did provide written correspondence under separate cover that outlined my relevant skills and experience for filling this position. I feel that Brian Chapnick and his delegation really summarized it well in addressing what residents would like to see in a candidate. And I believe I checked the various boxes in that regard. In the written correspondence provided, I highlighted my community involvement with the Committee of Adjustment and also with the Council Accountability Group. I highlighted how my involvement in municipal politics, my volunteer experience, my knowledge and awareness of the policies, actions, and impact of the decisions made by Richmond Hills City Council, and my fitness to address and represent the interests of Richmond Hill and the residents of Ward 4. Now, that being said, and while I appreciate this 10-minute opportunity to speak further, I feel it might be a more efficient use of time if I forego repeating the information provided in the written correspondence and simply make myself available for any questions council may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. So at this point, I'll turn it back to council then. Is there questions of council? Okay, I do actually have a question here. Hang on one second. I was expecting other questions. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thompson. Okay, I would just like to ask, so I read your resume and so on, and I understand that you've got quite a bit of volunteer experience that you brought to council. I wonder if you could just expand a little bit on what that volunteer experience has given you in order to be able to be in this position, and maybe what you've learned from that you could apply towards this Ward 4 appointment position.
Certainly. Certainly through the various boards, committees that I've been involved with or chaired or participated, I've learned what it takes to work in a team or team environment and how to address and represent the interests of concerned individuals. It's really, I mean, that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, there's so many things that you learn in terms of what you don't know and where you can get information. So a lot of people, if they think they have the answers themselves, they don't. You really have to engage with the community that you're working with. And, that's really how you, make everything work in conjunction with each other. So there's a lot of things going on here you have to balance, and I get that. And, if I thought for 1 second that I had the answers, I would be doing everybody a disservice, So I don't know if you're looking for more information about, things like the Canadian Ski Patrol when I worked with them, or, Variety Village, really the takeaways were how to actually understand and represent the concerns that people raise in those organizations.
Okay, thank you very much. So seeing no other questions, sorry, Councillor Chan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Thompson, thank you for stepping forward and being a candidate for consideration. If my memory serves me right, I believe you also have been a candidate back in 2018. So perhaps the question that actually have been asked from some other candidates today, would you be thinking about that running as a candidate in Ward 4, regardless of what the outcome of today? I think it's a proper question because that question has been raised to other candidates as well.
Yeah, I've certainly heard the question a few times today, and it's a little bit difficult to answer in a public forum like this because until I've actually filed my nomination papers, this could be seen as campaigning, which would be against the Municipal Act. So I don't really want to say, yes, I'm going to run for this particular position because I don't want to contravene the act. But I would say that, yes, my interest is very high in terms of running in the next election.
Thank you very much to answer the question to the best you can. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, seeing no other questions, we appreciate you being here virtually, Mr. Thompson, and thank you very much for your delegation.
Thank you.
The next person on our list is Cristiana Campagnaro, and she will be joining us virtually. Welcome. You're on, there you go.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
Go ahead. We can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, Mayor West and council members. I'm Cristiana Campagnaro, a 20-year resident of Ward 4. Knowing that we all will have a long day today ahead of us, I've decided to keep my format very simple. I opted for speech versus paper. Resumes usually tell us what a person has done in the past, but they are not always a good forecast of what a person will do in the future. Now, two things happened to me. They really matter. It's positive resolutions and actions, specifically for residents in Ward 4. I have been educated in private European and Canadian schools. I bring a wealth of knowledge about global issues, which can be applied to local challenges. I'm deeply familiar with financial systems, principles of economics, customer service, marketing promotions, and with construction and land development. I also hold a real estate license. Currently, I also practice as a productivity coach and have highly evolved interpersonal skills. I can immediately assist this council to be more productive and efficient in meeting its objectives in advance of the fall re-election. From where I sit, it is very crucial for the council to understand COVID has changed everything. People in Richmond Hill now value their homes much more. Besides living at home, many work from there and some even vacation there. People in Ward 4 have a stronger emotional attachment to their homes. They want a wide range of local government services and a better quality service delivery. COVID has been a wake-up call for municipalities around the world, and I can assist council with this challenge. It is also crucial for council to meet at least 7 objectives to benefit Ward 4 and its immediate environs. Number 1, solutions must be found to protect our input and our right to express and protect the look, feel, and shape of our communities. I think that our influence in this process is an absolute constitutional right, and the current provincial government might have overstepped its bounds. Number 2, the much debated transit-oriented community short, the TOCs on both sides of Highway 4, 7 and Young, cannot be used to inflate obscene density abutting Ward 4. We must develop a balanced solution in regards to this issue. Number 3, the draft for the city's official plan 2041 has to be completed and be in sync with the plan production of the York Regional Plan. This plan should also accommodate the requests of Ward 4 residents. Number 5, housing is a hot button issue in our city. Statistics show Richmond Hill has had a negative housing growth since 2006. Positive spikes in housing output only occurred in 2012 and 2016. This means that Richmond Hill has not met its housing targets given to us by the province and the region. This is a big problem we have to address. As a Ward 4 resident, I know that generally speaking, people in my ward do not want their neighborhood to change by much. But I believe positive, moderate change is critical in order to keep our wonderful city growing at a healthy rate. Number 5, affordable and accessible housing are the 2 subsets of our current housing crisis. My 20-year-old daughter tells me that her generation is not even considering buying a house. For them, it's like a dream from the past. Number 6, the timely issuing of building permits will help the city to attain their housing targets. This is particularly important in Ward 4, where the community is mature and homeowners frequently want to improve their households, such as adding outdoor living space, new additions, granny quarters, pools, etc. Number 7, a significant cultural shift is necessary in the workplace of the Planning and Infrastructure Department. Professionals must develop a more relatable system in order to accommodate public input at an early stage in new branding projects. The waste of taxpayers' money, tears and lost time in the Bernard and Young Key Development Area, short KDA, should never be allowed to happen again in Ward 4 or in any other ward. Being a Ward 4 councillor is a big responsibility. Ward 4 is a very important part of our city. We have lots of public assets, such as great schools, parks, trails, trees, wildlife, and well-functioning watersheds, roads, and also a performing arts center. Active steps have to be taken now to protect and expand these pillars of our community. Ward 4 also needs employment, walkable shopping and cultural activities, as well as housing families can afford. Surely our world-renowned Young Street can accommodate all this. In my opinion, mixed-use low to medium rise is at a minimum appropriate for this area. I am an independent candidate without any political debts. I want a safe, vibrant, prosperous Richmond Hill in which Ward 4 is a leading force. I promote an energetic customer service delivery culture, being customer-centric. I believe in being proactive versus reactive. Mayor West and council members, I also strongly advocate transparency, and I want you to know there are concerns in Ward 4 that this appointment process has been already decided. Rumors are council has chosen their favorite candidates already, being either candidate number 4 or 12. I have decided not to buy into those rumors. I believe all council members will make an informed decision on merit today after listening to all the great presentations. I trust each council member will live up to their signed declaration of elected office. I also want to be transparent about my actions. In a competitive process like this one, we are all part of, your ideas become intellectual capital. One might use them as a tool in order to differentiate oneself from others. That was my reason for not submitting anything to the clerk's office prior to my presentation. Now that I have delivered my speech, I will gladly forward my information to the clerk's office to go on public record. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak in front of you all today, and good luck in choosing a candidate. I know it will be a very difficult decision for you to make. We had so many amazing people coming forward, sharing their great visions and ideas. And lastly, to all my Ward 4 neighbors and residents, I hope what I have said to council resonates with your concerns. Please share this YouTube video. It marks an important day for our ward. To those people who have expressed concerns about the fairness of this appointment process, I quote Colette Baron-Reid, an author born here in Toronto. She said, "Faith is believing that the outcome will be what it should be, no matter what it is." Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. And we'll bring it back to council at this time. Councillor Munch.
First thing I gotta say is, wow, pretty speech. As soon as you say it, a couple of people said, "Hey, did you write the speech?" I didn't write it. I'm going to say to you, a lot of the comments, I appreciate very in-depth, most technical presentation that I've monitored anyway today. I thank you for your presentation. A lot of effort went in there. My question to you, Ms. Campagnaro, is, you are in Ward 4. You've been here for 20 plus years. Our experience at council with you has been with the Caterpillar. I consider you the Caterpillar lady who brought to council the issues of our Caterpillar challenge from last year and brought forward. You said today that you want to see medium density along the Yonge Street corridor. And if that's your vision, and that's what you want to see in Ward 4, and you want to use this as part of your YouTube discussion that others are going to go forward, how exactly are we going to get medium density on the transportation corridors that requires high density? If we are going to do medium density as a concept, is it then your vision from Ward 4 that you're supposed to expand the boundary of Yonge Street and get 4 to 8 stories at the density we need throughout the neighborhoods as the vision? So you want to see a medium density throughout on Yonge Street or medium density throughout the Richmond Hill? How exactly are you visioning that?
Well, I would say medium density downtown core of Richmond Hill for sure. And then I think you transition in a gentle curve going either way. And I just think for me, it's so sad that nobody really uses our downtown core in Richmond Hill. I mean, there's so many issues, but at the same time, I think we should work on solve them and just offer in that area, like I think it was mentioned before, you want a mixed use. You want like maybe offices downstairs, upstairs, living space, even provide for people that need certain services like daycare, whatever, make it easy, because the ultimate goal would be like a nice downtown core where we have not so much of like, I don't know, there should be like a different traffic flow going through the down core and make it accessible, like make everything walking distance. It's like so nice just to not have to use a car. I mean, I think it would be a great concept.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from members of council? Seeing none, thank you very much, Mrs. Campagnaro. The next person up that we'll be hearing from today, the second last person on the list actually, is Adele Todros. Hello, sir, and welcome. And you've got 10 minutes to address council. Oh, you need to unmute yourself first. There you go.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor West and the members of council to giving me this opportunity. It's such a great honor to be in front of you for a few minutes. And I actually trying to, I don't have that much, and I don't think I'm gonna use the whole 10 minutes because this is what normally I used to be like: work hard, work more, and talk less. So if just to introduce myself, Adele Todros, I came to Canada with my Bachelor of Commerce, and I have arrived 1990. I have my kids at 1 year old, and I got 2 more kids now. They graduated, they are working. I have the first one in as a doctor of dentistry, and the second one doctor of pharmacy, and the third one doing her PhD at York University. I spent 4 or 5 years in Markham. I moved to Richmond Hill in 2002, so it's like more than almost 20 years now. And it was really a good move. I enjoyed everything at Richmond Hill, and climate, people, the mix, everything was beautiful since we came to the area. And it's just a few, maybe few years when the first thing happened to me was the insurance increased, because one of the issues were like the speeding and stuff like that. When I called the insurance, they said, yeah, the speeding in your area now is getting too much. That's why we increased the insurance a little bit on Pavilion 16. So this is only one thing we need maybe in the future to work on it and see how to find how to deal with this speeding running in Richmond Hill streets. And in terms of volunteer work, actually, I was trying to prepare something, but I didn't. So I said, let's take the opportunity and just talk normally. We don't have to prepare anything. So in terms of volunteer work, I did some volunteer during the pandemic. During the last 2 years, in the churches, like where that was like the first liner, dealing with congregation at the churches, and during the pandemic, ushering and service inside the church, and also was organizing some soccer team activities inside the church until now. And in terms of working, I work in pharmaceutical company for the last, since I came to Canada, the first 15 years, and then now I'm working as a controller in same field in accounting for the last more than 10 years, 11 years. When I look to the opportunity, I found it's an opportunity. Like normally when I talk in politics and any problems, I normally feel it, talk it to my family, talk it to my friends, how to solve these kinds of like jamming on the highway, stuff like that. And I found this is an opportunity to serve people and make their voice heard. And of course, everyone has dreams to come out to the light. So it's just an opportunity to help and serve people. When I look to what kinds of issues actually we dealing with is like, and to serve, there is some issues like creating jobs, like homeless in the area, like I'm talking about Ward 4, and there is, I noticed recently there is some increasing trends in the robbery, homeless, and there is some issues need to be dealt with in order to make the life of the residents and the people more happier. Creating jobs and increasing income, and also came to my mind the property tax. There is increase after increase why don't we deal with property tax and try to freeze it a little bit and make it more fairness to people? Like we have to, I was thinking in a way how to make the property tax and maintaining the standard of living. Don't touch the property tax, but there was like programs we have to maybe adopt or think of it as unique ideas to deal with the property tax and as a source of income, and in the meantime to keep and maintain the standard of living of the people as they are living in Richmond Hill, nice community, very beautiful community to live in and actually dream to live in, and to come here in this area. So it's just thinking of helping the residents dealing with these issues, and how to help them is I'm thinking now, because this is my first experience. There is so many ways to deal with this and get in touch with the residents and hear their voice, make a Twitter account, people can contact you, the phone numbers, emails, text, every single social media now is open to communicate and hear voice of each other and to communicate easily. So it's just a new experience for me, but I'm eager to take this opportunity in order to help and solve the problems of the residents, or actually it's in like our daily life. It's not only residents, it's our problem too, in terms of the trafficking or homeless. It is our problem. We feel it, and we have to work on solving all these kinds to make them live happy in Richmond Hill. So I think that's my dream, and this is what I want to say. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir. Is there members of council have questions? Okay, Councillor Munch.
Good day. Thank you for presenting, and thank you for having the courage to go forward.
Thank you.
I'd like to know, although you said in your speech, I'd like to know now off the cuff, what excites you about being the Ward 4 councillor predominantly, and what would you bring to the community should you be the candidate?
Well, the problems I'm seeing, I'm trying to deal with directly. It's an opportunity to deal with this kind of problems, and the dreams of solving these problems, the solution in my mind to solve these problems, and now I can communicate it, I can bring it outside, deal with it directly, and I will put efforts, hours, work. It's the way I'm doing my work since I came to Canada, like work hard and spend more time to solve the problem, feel the achievements, feel the success when you successfully solve the problem. And you feel good when you help people too. Like it's really impressive the feeling inside you when you bring a happiness, a smile to one of the residents you help with him. This kind of appreciation and the help is what I'm bringing with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Seeing no other questions, we have one more candidate to go, Mr. Charles Hendricks. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Hendricks, welcome.
Hi, David.
You have the distinct honor of being you have the distinct honor of being the last delegate today.
I got to tell you, thank you for that honor, by the way. Mr. Mayor and members of council, thank you for meeting with me for today and for allowing me to address council regarding what's obviously the hottest ticket in town or a city. I'd also like to let you know, in fairness to Stephen, he and I have been emailing back and forth. In the last email, I think he indicated that I've got an extra 15 minutes. I think that's right, isn't it, Stephen, or something like that? Maybe I misread. Anyway, you folks have had a long day. I've been tuned in, and I'll get right to the point and finish well within my allotted time frame. Mr. Mayor, members of council, my name is Charles Hendricks, and yes, I am most interested in filling the vacancy that has been created following the recent election. I guess congratulations are in order to all of the candidates who did Richmond Hill proud during that election. I'll start with a brief introduction to ensure that I position myself accurately and concisely, and to ensure a strong level of transparency. Let me share with you that I'm neither a career politician nor a leading community volunteer. My resume does not look like that of a political activist, but I do bring a unique track record of substance, skill sets, a penchant for action, and a passion for improvement. I have a strong academic background and a recognized skill set that would prove most beneficial in the ward councillor's role. Most relevant to this position, I believe, is my business and entrepreneurial background, which I'll expand on shortly. My peers, colleagues, and past relationships typically acknowledge me as a blue chip executive, and I'm known as being fiscally responsible while being socially conscious. Is it possible to be fiscally responsible and socially conscious? I believe the answer is yes. But most importantly, when people say, who is Charles Hendricks? The answer is he gets things done. I do get things done. I was recruited straight out of university by Procter & Gamble many years ago. They liked the fact that I was active in government and my community. I've since had the privilege of working in senior capacities with Procter & Gamble and Bell Canada in the role of Director of Marketing. I was the Canadian executive in roles such as President and Chief Operating Officer at companies such as Rand McNally and Info Canada. I have standout experience in decision-making, strategic planning, teamwork, and collaboration. And at the end of the day, I achieve objectives. Many of the skill sets that I employed in business are directly transferable to the position on council. In 2008, I ventured into the world of entrepreneurialism and founded a successful management, training, and consulting business. Here, I consulted and led training sessions with blue chip companies that you may have heard of, like Cadillac, Fairview, Lush, Smuckers, and TELUS. I've worked with government institutions doing training, such as the City of Toronto, the Region of Halton, and the Royal Canadian Mint. And I've worked with Indigenous communities from Southern Ontario to Nunavut, from Vancouver Island to Nova Scotia, from Batchewana to Tunavik, from Fort William to Haida Gwaii. My educational background is that I'm a graduate of McMaster University, and I've supplemented my academic background with executive education at Harvard University, the Wharton School of Business, and the University of Pennsylvania. For the past 20 years, while performing these business roles, I've given back in my own way, as I've acted as a sessional and adjunct professor at university, where I've taught and still teach business courses. It's a passion of mine. I love dealing with students, and I love teaching. In summary, my business background, my entrepreneurship, academia, and community, all very successful, which I believe will position me well for City Council. The question then becomes, what do I see as priorities? My wife, 3 children, and I have lived in Richmond Hill for 25 years. And as a resident of Ward 4, I think I'm as familiar with the ward as I believe anyone else could possibly be. Ward 4 has an old historic core that it shares with Ward 2. The physical diversity of the ward is augmented by some of the newer neighborhoods in the north up to Jefferson Side Road. And for example, meeting infrastructure needs in parks like the upcoming Laurentian Park that's planned. I've involved myself in past issues. I've worked with council over history, with the Richmond Hill Hydro, the planning process that went into Century Montessori. I worked with then Councillor Robertson, the planning process for Pleasantville Upper Mill and other parks with Councillors Bishop and Foster. And I also worked with a guy by the name of David West on Rumble Pond. I'm running because I want to make a difference and I want to see some action taken on key projects. I do not believe that the Ward 4 councillor can act as an island unto themselves. So I will need to work with council, with the mayor, with the regional councillors to achieve what I see as important. Ward 4 is home to valued Mill Pond, and work is underway regarding the redevelopment of this community asset. I believe this needs to be advanced and made a priority. The downtown core is looking better, but a long way to go. I believe this needs to be advanced and made a priority. We need a vibrant, pedestrian-friendly downtown core. And talking about it isn't going to happen on its own. We need to take steps to make it happen. The subway expansion in Richmond Hill, everyone's talking about positively, and it is overdue, but it's not a reality. I want to point out to council that the Eglinton subway, I use the word subway, was started in 1994, 28 years ago. It was canceled in 1995 by a new provincial government. It was restarted in 2011, and the road was dug in 2011 with the Eglinton Crosstown. We're 11 years into that. But let's not forget, 28 years ago, the Eglinton subway was started. I'm not suggesting there's a bad thing going on here, but I'm saying we need to take action to ensure that this happens on a timely basis. Ward 4 needs to continue to secure needed infrastructure in the northern sector and preserve its historical core. Important? No. Critically, we need to relieve pressure off of Bathurst Street and encourage a fast track to open Elgin Mills westbound to connect with Teston Road and Vaughan, to which the region, I'm not sure if people here have tuned into this, but the region of York just had their third open house yesterday on that project, and I was pleased to provide some feedback. I see relief of pressure off of Bathurst as a critical move, and like the subway, long overdue. Other projects need to move ahead, and we need to move ahead quickly and properly. In summary, I bring a commitment to making council work, in fact, thrive. And I believe my skill sets will be put to the test, but in a positive way. My ambition is to achieve those things that I discussed. My energy level is high, and I'll be counting on an equal level of commitment and enthusiasm from council. That said, I have to take things step by step. My wife keeps reminding me of that. So step one, my name is Charles Hendricks, and yes, I'm looking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendricks. So I'll turn it back to council. Councillor questions? Councillor Munch?
Good day, Ms. Hendricks. Good seeing you again after a few years. Haven't talked to you in a while. You haven't changed, which is bad for me. It means I have changed. Really great presentation. Again, very technical. I appreciate the technical side and your vision. And it's good to know that you care about the transportation infrastructure and the mobilization and the quality of life on how we're going to work, live, and play here in Richmond Hill. Question I ask for you is outside the transportation grid and the analysis of our downtown and the gem of expanding into Mill Pond, how, if we are not growing and growth pays for growth, and Richmond Hill has declined in population, one can Google that if you have any questions. How are you expecting to get the growth and investment in Mill Pond and on Bathurst? And who's going to pay for that if we're not getting the growth? And if we're concerned about actually earning the opportunity of having the priority of a subway coming here in scarce, high-cost environments of government, of higher inflation tending, what's your vision of Ward 4, how it's going to happen? How does that engage with the greater Richmond Hill? What's your embracement of a transit community, and how can you assist this council moving forward? Thank you.
Well, Tom, first of all, let me congratulate you on becoming an expert politician in suggesting that I haven't changed. I would suggest to you that you've kept your hair and I've lost mine. So the first thing here is thank you for the comments, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. I think your answer also is one that precludes me giving any level of concreteness to it, because the question is somewhat open. I think the reality here is that we as council need to support a growing community, growing in terms of population, growing in terms of development, growing in terms of housing, growing in terms of affordable housing, and growing in terms of transit. We can't do it on our own, by the way. And I believe strongly that without the support of the province and the federal government, it won't happen. For example, the subway. Without the federal government support, the subway is not happening. Without the provincial support, the subway is not happening. And without the provincial and the regional support, Bathurst Street is not happening. I think the council itself, with the support of strong regional councillors and the mayor, we need to exert political influence on the senior levels of government to make some of this happen. I can just give you case in point, for instance, that if you look west of us and you see the GO train that exists in Maple heading up to Barrie, there is a planned station right now in Kirby. Many of you are aware of that. That Kirby station was not supported by Metrolinx, but there was political pressure to put that Kirby station in place. So I think political pressure is important. So I mean, you're asking a question, Councillor Munch, and I'm answering it as clearly as I can. I believe there are things that I can do and things that you can do in Ward 2 and I can do in Ward 4. But I think there are some things that we need all of us working together, and we need to work in concert with senior levels of government. So you know, a perfect example is, why is the Maple station changing on the GO station? It's being improved. The Rutherford station is being improved, but the Richmond Hill GO station, no improvement planned in the foreseeable future. Yes, we've expanded up to Gormley, but let's get some local development happening as well. I hope that answers to some extent what you were looking for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendricks. Anybody else? Oh, sorry, Councillor Liu, you're on the list.
Thank you, Mayor West. First, I would like to thank everybody for putting your name in as one of the candidates. It takes a lot of courage to do that. I thank you for that. And, you know, being a councillor, especially a Richmond Hill councillor, one of the job descriptions is to be able to sit there for long hours without falling asleep. And you all pass. Congratulations. Oh, I have to apologize for, you know, I know lots of you reach out to me and I didn't respond. I wanted to refrain from direct engagement with anybody because I want to keep an open mind. I hope you understand that and apologize for that. So what I'm looking for here, I'm looking at it as a very practical way, because whoever chosen today, I think within an hour, will be sitting on the other side of the audience. We'll be sitting next to a deputy mayor. Within 24 hours, you have to report to work. So I'm looking for someone, you know, as much as it looks like a job interview, it is not a job interview. I agree 100% with Councillor Pirelli. This is a very difficult position to be in, because all of you, you know, when I'm looking at all the talents, all the experience, all the skill sets, all the passion and dedication to serve the community, even our next generation. It's amazing. It is scary. And I know that Richmond Hill is in good hands. So I would like to see who is the best person to fit in that position in this transition period. To be honest with you, the reality is May 2nd, everybody can put their name in to file the nomination paper for the next election. So within this transition period, after May 2nd, everything's going to be changed. It's going to be all of us into a different mode. Everybody's will be in campaign mode. So what I want to see is to have someone that is in the community, that's already serving the community. I want to see a diverse, I want to see inclusive and gender balanced council. Going forward, someone who lives in Ward 4 and someone who has a business mind. So once again, I would like to thank all of you sincerely. I learned a lot from all of you. Unfortunately, we can only choose one today. I encourage you to continue to serve your community. I encourage you to continue to work for, you know, with council, with your community collaboratively. And yeah, thank you for that. Sorry, I don't have a question, but you know, as long as this is the last person. Sorry, Charles. I don't have a question, but I do wanted to thank everybody before I cast my vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
So I will answer your question with yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Okay, Councillor Chan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Hendricks. I don't want you to be disappointed, so that I'm going to ask you a question. I wasn't thinking about asking it, but since you have spent some time talking about the GO train, and so if you were appointed as the Ward 4 councillor, what particular plans that you would like to see? Not that it's going to happen. You mentioned about take 28 years to have the subway to come. No. The Premier Ford had been saying the subway will be here by 2030 at the Young and Highway 7. Let's let him stick to it. But the question to you is that if you were the councillor of Ward 4, what changes you would like to make in terms of improvement on the GO train, now actually going extend all the way, used to be just Major Mac at Newkirk is the final station, but now it's going up all the way to Bloomington. So any other suggestion for improvement within City of Richmond Hill, in particular for residents and businesses of Ward 4, where my colleagues were talking about, some employers did talk to us that is a challenge to bring in the talents from other parts of the GTA. So maybe with improvements in public transit, just at GO train would help to ease that or address that issue. So what are your thoughts? GO train improvements.
I think your question was, you also indicated, what are my thoughts with respect to things we can do to improve the business community within Ward 4 in the town. So if I take that question and couple it with what you also said, I think there's a few things we can do. One, I think our job is to represent the interest of our community. So first of all, we need to understand the interest of our community. So I would take it upon myself to do so. The second thing is, once you understand the interest of the community, is to leverage the strength of our council to then influence the other bodies that we need to do so. Any community historically, and I know Councillor Munch is a student of history. Any community from a success perspective over history needs to have proper infrastructure to do so. Richmond Hill has good infrastructure, but not great infrastructure, and we need to change that. So the highway, for example, 404 and 400 is a good thing. It sort of envelopes our community. The GO train, for instance, moving up to Bloomington does a good job as well. But I think we can do things to improve, for example, the level of satisfaction that one would take taking the GO train from the Newkirk station in Richmond Hill, the frequency of travel. These are all things that we can do with political alignment with the senior levels of government. So if there's political will at the federal and municipal and provincial levels, we can achieve that. Just like, for example, there's political will to move ahead on the Maple line more so than there is on the Richmond Hill line. But Councillor Chan, to be clear, I think you and I would both share an interest in freeing up traffic along Bathurst Street. It is a problem right now, and Yonge Street, and we need to take steps to do so. Councillor Klivitz as well. Same thing. We share those issues, and we would need to work together to work with senior levels of government and local government to do what we can to improve the infrastructure, both locally and more on a regional basis as well.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, I don't see any other. Oh, Councillor Pirelli, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Any relation to Jimmy?
If you notice, the spelling is off slightly. So I think we actually split some time ago when he got into a different type of amusement than I did.
And can you play the guitar as well?
Just terribly, but my son, who I didn't give the name Jimmy to, is able to work a few keys.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
So again, I'll answer with a yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendricks. So I think that concludes the questions. I appreciate you taking the time and being here virtually with us today. So at this point in time, we have now exhausted the candidate list. So this is the moment we've all been waiting for. I will turn this back over to the clerk, who will be the person that will be conducting the actual voting. I will say on behalf of council, I do truly thank everybody for coming out and putting your name forward. This has been a long day, and I thank you for your patience. I thank you for your passion, and it's certainly appreciated in terms of your contribution to our community. So thank you very much. So with that, Mr. Clerk, we will begin the voting procedures, and I will turn that over to you.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. It's my pleasure to run these voting procedures. I'm just going to give a brief overview so everyone is aware of what is going to take place. So as set out in the voting procedure, as set out in the council approved procedures, council is going to vote today by using voting cards, and the deputy city clerk is going to show a sample of that on the screen right now. So that everyone can see what they look like. I can point out that Councillor Silovitz, who is participating electronic, has actually been provided her voting cards prior to this meeting. We will hand out, or the clerk's staff will hand out voting cards at the start of each round of voting. I will display on the screen the names of candidates who are eligible for appointment in each round of voting. And to vote, members of council need to print their name on the line that says members of council's name on the voting card. Clearly write the name of one candidate in the box that says I vote for, and sign the voting card. Any voting card that does not comply with these three requirements will be rejected from the count. After all members have marked their cards here in the chambers, they will be collected by members of the clerk's office staff. Once those have been collected, I will then ask Councillor Silovitz if she has marked her card. And once she is ready to display it, she will display her card on the screen, ensuring that I can read it. And I will record her vote. I will say that Councillor Silovitz votes for so-and-so. I will then read the names of the voting card, the members of councils and their vote for the voting cards collected here in the chamber. This is because secret ballots are prohibited. All the votes will be recorded on spreadsheets that we have prepared for this and will be verified. In fact, myself and one of my staff will do the same task. We like to make sure that we are double checking these things. So once we have verified those results, I will announce the results. I will say that if in any round of voting, no candidate receives a majority of the votes cast, there will be another round of voting. Candidates who receive the least amount of votes in any particular round will be excluded from the next round. And there will be a bit of a delay between any round of voting and my announcements of the results of those voting results to allow us to prepare new lists of candidates for display on the screen with the candidates eligible for appointment. So barring any questions on those procedures.
Question. Thank you for asking. So in a situation, you said that candidate with the lowest amount of votes would not go on to the next round. Let's just take, for example, in the first round, there's 2-2-2-2. There's no majority. What happens?
In the first round, Councillor, just to
Yes.
clarify? Okay, in the first round, in that case, if there was so that would be 2-2-2. That's 4 candidates receiving 2 votes each. In the first round, the candidates who did not receive any votes, because we have 26 candidates, would be excluded from the next round.
Perfect.
Yes.
So if there's any error on the voting card, you said it will be discarded.
Yes, your vote will not be counted towards any candidate.
And
yes.
so would still at that point require 5 votes.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
I
Go ahead,
wasn't thinking
sorry.
about asking that question, but now that Regional Council Peretti saying that 2-2-2-2, which is a possibility, we don't know yet, what happens in the hopefully final round is a 4-4. What would happen then? I'd like to have an answer for you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Through the chair, in accordance with the procedures, if we are in a round of voting and there's only 2 candidates remaining, and each of those candidates receive 4 votes, it's a tie vote. The procedures say a tie vote. We will then draw the winner's name, or I will draw the winner's name by lot.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, if I may, could you just, I'm not sure that we've touched on this, but it's, could you just explain if in the, say, the second round or the third round, there's a tie, Can you just, I don't think you've explained that procedure, did you?
So no, if I, correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize, Mr. Mayor. Do you mean if there's a tie for the lowest number?
Yes,
of votes?
that's, I'm sorry,
So
yes.
yeah, for instance, let's say we're in a round of voting and we have votes that are 4-2, 1 and 1. To obviously know what candidates received the majority, what would happen is then I would draw lots from the 2 candidates who received 1 vote to decide who was excluded from the next vote. So if we're down to 2 candidates, the drawing of the lots is to choose the winner. If we have more than 2 candidates, 3 or more candidates, and we are required to draw a lot under the procedures, that's to select the candidate who will not be eligible in the next round.
Okay, thank you very much. I have that clarified. I just want to make sure everybody else is clear on that.
And last question, Mr. Clerk. And if the number of members of council changes, then it'll be a majority of the remaining members of council in attendance.
That is correct through the chair. Yes, if, for instance, for whatever reason, members of council aren't here when we conduct a round of voting, it's the majority of the members present in that particular round of voting.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Munch, you have a question?
Yeah, so if we have 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, what happens then on the first round?
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
So on the first round, Councillor?
Yes, sir.
So on the first round, in that case, it would be the candidates who received 0 votes that would be excluded from the next round. Because in your example of 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates would have received votes. We have 26 candidates that are eligible in the first round. So in accordance with the procedures, the candidates who received 0 votes would receive the least amount of votes that they would be excluded. So all 5 candidates that received a vote would proceed to the next round.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, Mr. Clerk, back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at this time, I will ask my team members to hand out the voting cards for the first round of voting. Thank you. Members of council, the list of eligible candidates for this round is now displayed on the screen. As I indicated, please make sure that you complete your card properly with your name, the name of the candidate, and your signature. And when you're ready, members of council and president, if you just want to put it up on the top of the desk, we'll go around and collect them. Thank you. Councillor Silovitz, I don't want you to display yet, but are you prepared to display? Okay, thank you. Just give me a moment. So we've got a set here to start to tabulate the votes, and then I'll ask you to display. So thank you for your patience, members of council. Councillor Silovitz, if I could please ask you to show your voting card on the screen, which I will then read out. Thank you. Councillor Silovitz votes for Richard Rupp. Thank you, Councillor Silovitz. I am now going to read out the votes that were cast here in the chamber. Mayor West votes for Reka Shepherd. Regional Local Councillor DePaula votes for Reka Shepherd. Regional Local Councillor Pirelli votes for Marty Paulin. Councillor Barros votes for Marty Paulin. Councillor Munch votes for Reka Shepherd. Councillor Liu votes for Reka Shepherd. Councillor Chan votes for Reka Shepherd. Okay, let's check. We have DePaula, Munch. Let's sort this. Let's sort this. Okay, so I just want to.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
I've got to announce.
Oh, go ahead.
We just double check. Just doing. Mayor and members of council. The results of the first round of voting are as follows. 8 members of council were present and voted. A candidate requires 5 votes to be selected to fill the vacancy. 8 marked voting cards were received or displayed on the screen. 0 for the voting cards were rejected. The following candidates received votes in this round. Reka Shepherd received 5 votes. Marty Paulin received 2 votes, and Richard Rupp received 1 vote. Mayor and members of council, Ms. Reka Shepherd received 5 votes, which is a majority, and is selected to be appointed to fill the Ward 4 vacancy. So I offer my congratulations. Mr. Mayor, if you would give us a moment at this time, we will finalize the appointment bylaw, which is necessary to make this appointment official, and we'll display it on the screen and read it out. Thank you.
While we're waiting for that, I'd just like to, again, on behalf of council, congratulate everybody who put their name forward today. It was, as was said a number of times, there were some really excellent presentations. And we obviously have a great deal of talent here in the pool that put their name forward. And I thank you very much for that. To Ms. Shepherd, thank you very much and congratulations. We look forward to working with you, and we'll finish up this meeting momentarily and go from there. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, if I might, I'm just waiting for the printed copy because there is the opportunity, Ms. Shepherd's here, so we actually can swear her in tonight. But we have to sign the bylaw first before we can do that, and then I'll need the declaration of office. But while I'm getting those printed, if I could perhaps, for the benefit of the listening public, I'll display the bylaw, read it into the record, and then, Mr. Mayor, if it would be open to move it. So,
okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Corporation of the City of Richmond Hill, bylaw 52-22, a bylaw to appoint a person to fill the vacancy in the office of Ward 4 Councillor. Whereas at its meeting on February 9th, 2022, Council, pursuant to the requirements of Section 262(1) of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, declared the office of Ward 4 Councillor vacant. And whereas at its meeting on February 9th, 2022, Council resolved to fill the vacancy by appointing any qualified individual to fill the vacancy as permitted by Section 2631A of the Municipal Act 2001. And whereas Council at its special meeting held on March 22nd, 2022, selected a qualified individual to fill the vacancy. Now, therefore, the Council of the Corporation of the City of Richmond Hill enacts as follows. Reka Shepherd B. and is hereby appointed Ward 4 Councillor for the remainder of the current term of Council.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. So at this point in time, we need to receive the correspondence, I believe that. Okay, do I do that first? Okay, so pass the bylaw. So moved by Councillor Barros. Seconded by Councillor Pirelli. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously?
I'm sorry, could you please record the vote for the record?
Okay. Recorded vote, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Through your chair, voting to pass bylaw 52-22, Councillor Silovitz.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Munch.
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you. Councillor Chan. Thank you. Regional Local Councillor Pirelli.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor West.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Barros.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Liu. Thank you. Regional Local Councillor DePaula.
Yes.
Thank you. That bylaw passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. And we need a motion to accept the correspondence. Okay, Councillor Pirelli and seconded by Councillor Liu. All those in favor? Okay, opposed, carried. That carries unanimously. And bylaw to proceed to confirm the proceedings of this council meeting. Moved by Councillor Pirelli, seconded by Councillor Chan. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. And last but not least, a bylaw to adjourn the meeting, or sorry, I mean a motion to. Okay, that's fine.
So, Councillor-elect Shepherd, it's my honor to request you to read your declaration of office. And then once we've read it, signed it, you'll be sworn in.
Sure. I, Rika Shepherd, having been elected or appointed to the office of Ward 4 Councillor in the municipality of the city of Richmond Hill, do solemnly promise and declare that, 1, I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. 2, I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, or the reigning sovereign for the time being. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, sorry, I'm so nervous, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath. Thank you.
Let her make the first motion to adjourn the meeting. Well said.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to ask now for a motion to adjourn this meeting. I mean, I'm wondering who should do that.
It is my honor.
Councillor Shepherd, you have to put your hand up. Okay, we'll teach you how to do that. Okay, seconded by, okay, Councillor Pirelli, and all those in favor, you got to put your hand up again.
Unanimous.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
You've all shown great class in staying back to watch the swearing in. You're all to be congratulated. Thank you.